Hey, this is part three of the Bojinka plot, uh, the debriefing on Abdul Hakim Murad on May 11th, 1995. This is the last three-part series of the report from May 11th, but there's going to be more after this, so we're not done just yet. So let's get right to it here. As for any future terrorist plans, Murad advised that he and Ramsey discussed the possibility of bombing a nuclear facility in the United States. They also discussed additional attacks on American airline carriers such as United and Northwest Airlines. Murad stated that Ramsey wanted to bomb an El Al Airlines, but believed that security would be too difficult to penetrate. The underlying reason for these attacks would be to make the people of the United States and their government suffer for their support of Israel. Murad stated that America should remain neutral regarding the problems in the Middle East. Murad advised, now I'm going to make myself disappear for a second so you can read it. Murad advised that Ramsey wanted to return to the United States in the future to bomb the World Trade Center a second time. Murad gave the following information regarding his family. His mother, Amina Ahmad. His father was Ali Hashim, working in a Kuwait petroleum company. I'm actually writing an article um, regarding Bojinka plot. I'm currently in the middle of it. So I'll publish it probably next month. Sisters were Majid, Farid, Manal, and his brothers were Ahmad, Anwar, Khalid, Muhammad, and Adel. They're all living in Kuwait, by the way. Murad advised that he has a good friend to Khalid Hassan, a Palestinian who lives and studies dentistry in the Cebu, Philippines. Murad advised that Hassan has no connections with Ramsey, and Hassan was aware of Murad's presence in the Philippines. This time, the aircraft landed in Alaska for refueling. Murad advised that on November 19, 1991, he left Dubai and traveled to London, England, for a week of sightseeing. Murad stated that prior to going to England, he was in Dubai obtaining his private pilot's license at the Emiratis flying school. Murad advised that his girlfriend, Nasir Ali Mubarak, who also attended the Emiratis flying school, had arrived in London a couple of days prior to Murad. Murad stated that he traveled on his Pakistani passport, in which he obtained a single entry, a 6-month visa for the United Kingdom at the UK consulate in Dubai. Murad stated that they stayed in Oxford with a woman whose name he does not recall, whom Mubarak had met on a previous trip in England. Murad stated that Mubarak has no relatives in Bingham, England, Binghamton, England, and further advised that Mubarak does not know Ramsey. After approximately 1 week, they departed London and proceeded to the United States. Murad said that Mubarak fly to San Antonio, Texas, while he traveled first to Washington, D.C. on TWA. Murad stated that he stayed with his brother-in-law, Abdul Khalik, for a few days and proceeded to San Antonio, also on TWA. Murad advised that he and Mubarak were scheduled per their immigration I-20s to attend school at the Alpha Tango Flying School at Bernie Stages, Texas. Murad advised that he obtained a U.S. visa in Dubai that was valid for 1 or 2 years. Murad stated that his father financed his airfare, tuition for the flying school, and living expenses while staying in the United States. Murad advised he obtained his initial Pakistani passport in 1987 from the Pakistani embassy in Kuwait. Murad stated that since the pages in the passport were exhausted, he obtained another Pakistani passport at the consulate in Dubai. When his passport became full with visas and stamps, he obtained a third passport in 1994, the consulate in Dubai. Since none of the passports expired, Murad advised that he traveled with all three. Murad stated that he has no additional passports in other names or from other countries. Murad advised that he and Mubarak stayed at the Alpha Tango School because their chief instructor at the Emiratis Flying School, Riaz Ahmed in Dubai, had also attended Alpha Tango. Murad stated that many Pakistanis were enrolled at the Alpha Tango School. One of the instructors at Alpha Tango was a Sudanese by the name of Baha El-Din. Murad stated that the chief pilot, Ahmed Afzal, arranged for the apartment for Murad and Mubarak to stay in Texas. Murad stated that they did not visit any mosques in San Antonio, and they departed after approximately 2 weeks because they weren't happy with the facilities at Alpha Tango. And Murad advised that he and Mubarak purchased a Hyundai automobile in San Antonio, Texas, and traveled to the Richmore Flying School located near Albany, New York. Murad stated that they drove through New York City and stopped only to purchase a map, but then continued on to the Richmore School. Murad estimates that it took more than 3 days to drive from San Antonio, Texas to Albany, New York. Murad stated that a Richard, last name unknown, LNU, was in charge of the Richmore Flying School, which they only attended for approximately 2 months. Murad advised that he departed Richmore to return to San Antonio's Alpha Tango School because the weather in Albany was much too cold. Murad advised that he attended the Richmore School in January, February 92, after which he departed on TWA to San Antonio, with Mubarak remaining at the Richmore School. Murad said that he attended the Alpha Tango School for the months of March and April of 1992 and stayed with 2 Pakistanis, Rajib, last name unknown, and Nasser, last name unknown, and 1 Saudi, Hassan Mubarak, no relation to Nasser. After about 2 months at the Alpha Tango School, he returned to Richmore, first stopping in Washington, D.C. to visit with Abdul Khalik for a few days. Murad advised that Mubarak met him in Washington, D.C., and they proceeded to the Richmore School. As you can see, Murad was traveling freely throughout the Northeast and Southwest, basically to trying to find the right school that was for him. And he basically went to schools in New York, in Texas, just North Carolina. And I mean, Murad basically was the essence for the planes operation, for he is the first person to ever tell any other terrorist, and the person they told was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, about wanting to fly a pilot that he would manually drive into CIA headquarters in Virginia. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed took that idea and went to Osama bin Laden. Now, this is if the story is true, right? It's only alleged, but according to even Abdul Hakim Murad and Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, they allegedly, came up with this idea, and I think they did. It's just that the intelligence community knew about it and basically didn't stop it because they didn't know about the future plans. Maybe we don't have information that the intelligence community knew time, dates, and when. They knew that there was a threat to airliners, but nobody told the FAA to beef security up until it was too late. I mean, the time for beefing security up would have been after this report was given to the FBI. FBI claims under Louis Freeh, the director, and he testified to this, that he gave it to the FAA, and the FAA did nothing. And the FAA, basically, Monty Belger, the acting director, went toward the joint inquiry and stated in a question that he thought that the attacks would be overseas and not inside the United States. And Bob Kerry, the senator who was on the joint inquiry's staff, told him that what made you think that idea? The United States was basically home to a lot of martyrs inside. Al Qaeda was implying that they were going to use planes for martyrdom operations. In 1996, now, this is 5 years prior to 9/11. That means security could have been beefed up. Immigration, FAA. 9/11 would have never happened. That's outside of whatever the agencies knew. And of course, the foreign intelligence services, Saudi Arabia and Israel, right? Murad stated that they attended the Richmore School for about 2 weeks, departed for North Carolina to attend the Coastal Aviation School in Newburgh, North Carolina, where they resided. Murad said that they arrived in North Carolina at the end of May or beginning of June in 1992. Murad advised that Mubarak obtained his license prior to Murad and returned to the Richmore School, while Murad received his certification on June 6, 1992. After Murad obtained his license, Mubarak returned to North Carolina in order to accompany Murad to the Richmore School. Prior to returning to the Richmore School, Murad and Mubarak visited New York City for one evening. Upon arriving at Richmore School, they met a mutual friend of theirs, Abdullah Yusuf, who they knew from the Emirati schools in the United Arab Emirates. After about a week in Richmore, all three proceeded by automobile to California. In June of 1992, all three attended the California Aeronautics School in Red Bluff, California. I mean, these guys went all over. Murad went to the East Coast, the West Coast, Southwest. He was all over the place, which is located 3 hours north of San Francisco. Both Murad and Mubarak were attempting to obtain an instructor rating at the California Aeronautics School. Murad said he paid $1,300 to attend the school, but he departed after 2 weeks without completing the course while at Red Bluff. Murad stayed with an Italian individual known as Max and a Vietnamese individual with American citizenship who Murad only knew as Heyo. Murad advised that he alone returned to Dubai after leaving California. Murad stated that before reaching Dubai, he stayed with an aunt, Gul Bibi, and uncle Sadiq Muhammad for 3 days in Bahrain. Murad advised that he then returned to Dubai and resided with his uncle for 2 months. Murad stated that he frequently traveled throughout the Gulf states in an attempt to find employment as a pilot. Murad advised that he obtained a U.S. visa in Muscat, Oman in November of 1992 that was valid until February of 1993. And that's when the World Trade Center was bombed, February 93. Murad advised that he wanted to return to California to complete his instructor qualifications since he already paid for the course. Now, I'm not saying Murad went to these airports to learn how to fly and not land and commit a martyrdom attack. I don't think the planes operation that he had in mind was invented in his head yet. He really wanted to be a pilot instructor. In the same way that Ziad Jarrah, the alleged hijacker pilot of Flight 93, grew up and he wanted to be a pilot. And his father dissuaded that idea from him because he was afraid he would crash. How ironic. So I think Murad later on, because of his skills as a pilot, came up with an idea. Instead of bombing the plane, used the plane as a bomb. Murad stated that he decided not to return to the United States, but rather travel to Karachi in an attempt to obtain employment with Pakistani International Airlines. As you can see, he really wanted to be a pilot. Murad advised that he stayed in Karachi from November of 1992 until April of 1993. Murad stated that Ramzi contacted him while he was in Dubai in either July or August of 92. And Murad stated that Ramzi stated he obtained chocolate training. When Murad explained that he did not understand, Ramzi replied, boom. Murad said he understood this means that Ramzi obtained some training in explosives. Murad said that Ramzi stated that he was going to the United States to find employment. However, he was aware Ramzi was going to the States to commit a bombing. Murad advised that Ramzi did not say when he was planning his travel. So even with his associate, Abdul Hakim Murad, Ramzi Youssef was very careful about telling anybody else what the operations were, when he was coming, when he was going. So in other words, like Murad and Youssef and Salome and Abdul and Yassin and the others might have been duped into helping in this operation without knowing why or even when until it happened. Right? Maybe. I'm not, I mean, other authorities, Peter Lance and others said that, these guys knew what they were doing. So Murad stated that when he was in Karachi from November 92 to April 93, he resided with an individual named Abdul Ghani, who was unknown to Ramzi. Murad advised that he obtained a flying license in Karachi from the Pakistan Civil Aviation, file number in Karachi 3815 and license number 1229. Murad said that he met Ramzi numerous times in Karachi in April of 93, at which time Ramzi advised him of his participation in the World Trade Center bombing. Murad said that Ramzi was staying at the Embassy Hotel in Karachi during this time, and Ramzi felt secure. And this is probably because the ISI was giving him protection. It wouldn't be the first time if the ISI gave protection to notorious terrorists like, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and of course, Osama bin Laden. Murad stated that he departed Karachi in May of 93 and traveled between Dubai and Kuwait, returning to Karachi in August of 93 when he again met with Ramzi. Ramzi stayed for a couple of weeks at the Lighthouse Nadi Tower with Murad, where he had an accident cleaning lead azide from a container, which resulted in a serious injury. Murad stated that Ramzi spent a part of July and a part of August in the hospital in Karachi. Murad said he left Karachi in mid-August to attend the Peshawar flying school where he resided. Murad advised that most of the students enrolled in this school originated from the Sudan. Murad stated that he attended the Peshawar school for 22 days where he obtained his instructor rating. He was a real licensed pilot, this guy. Murad stated that he returned to Karachi to apply for a pilot position at Pakistani International Airlines. Now, I think that if Pakistani International Airlines hired him, Murad probably would not have been in jail for the rest of his life. He would not have been part of the Bojinka plot. had he had a job. While in Karachi, Murad resided at the home of his friend Abdul Ghani, house number Y5, phase 6, in Kaya Bana Shabaz. Murad stated that Ramzi's brother Abdul Karim, Mahmoud Abdul Karim, advised him that Ramzi had returned to their parents' residence in Iran, to continue his recruit operation. Murad said that he stayed in Karachi until November of 93. Murad stated that he left Karachi at the end of November and proceeded to Dubai, where he remained until May of 1994. Murad stated he had no contact with Ramzi during this time, believed that Ramzi was still recuperating in Iran. Murad advised that he was attempting to convert his pilot's license to qualify in Dubai, which was a completed process. Murad advised that he traveled to Kuwait in June of 94 to visit with his family, after which he returned to Dubai. In August of 1994, Murad advised that he went to Karachi and resided with Abdul Karim, where he remained there for 15 days. Murad stated that Ramzi came from Manila to Karachi in August of 94 and stayed at the Embassy Hotel. Murad explained that Ramzi did not always get along well with Abdul Karim and advised that Ramzi told him that he traveled around Southeast Asia, i.e. Hong Kong, Singapore, and the Philippines, to find a permanent residence because he believed the FBI was actively searching for him in Karachi. Murad said that Ramzi concluded that the Manila area was acceptable because the cost of living is reasonable. All right, and that's the end of this chapter. Now, there's going to be a Philippines police report, and it will have 2 dates on it. And then we'll have a Ramzi Youssef FBI report, and I'll break that into 2 parts. There's also a Khalid Sheikh Mohammed preeminent source on Al-Qaeda, which was an FBI document, which I'm going to break into 2 parts as well. We'll read that as well. And then that'll be the end of the Bojinka series. All right, guys, listen, thank you very much for tuning in, and see you in the next video. Take care. Have a good week.